Hello, fellow scientists. It's Mrs. KB, and this is our science class learning about lima beans. And today we have 4 steps that we're going to follow. The first one is we're going to take a look at the different parts that we learned yesterday. And then we're going to measure our lima beans to see how much they've grown. And then we're going to ask, what does a lima bean need in order to grow? And then from there, you're going to take a look into social studies to find out about the natural resources and to see if they help with growing lima beans. All right, so let's review the different parts of a lima bean. So yesterday, we took a look at our lima bean. And I have here, we did a drawing. And it shows us that we have our coat that goes around the outside of the lima bean, the coat. Then we found that when we dissected the inside, all this white part in here is actually the food supply that keeps the lima bean growing while it is very small and before it gets into any of the soil. Then we found out, to my surprise, and I'm still amazed by this, that the part that's sticking out is actually the root and not the leaf. The root is peeking out, looking for moisture, looking for nutrients within the soil so that it can eat and grow. And here attached to the root is the stem. And then here is the very fragile, delicate leaf. So this is almost like it's upside down. And you can take a look here closer and see that this is our lima bean that we started with. When we dissected it, here's part of it. And here is our root coming out with the stem and then the leaf. And over here, we have the leaf poking out. All right, so we have reviewed the different parts of a lima bean. Now I want to show you what my lima beans look like. I am amazed. Now I did hear from a number of you saying, Mrs. KB, I cannot believe which one has grown the most, because it was really quite a surprise, wasn't it? Well, take a look at number 1 right over here. This is our dry bag. Absolutely nothing has happened. It looks the same as it did at the very first day. Now, going across, this is a little frightening. This is number 2. And our second one here has been in, let's see, it had air, it had some water, and it had sunlight. And it is growing like crazy at room temperature. Take a look at that. And then here is my number 3 bag. And this one again had air, it had water, it had no sunlight. This is the one that was in the darkness. And it was at room temperature, the one I put up in the Winnie the Pooh cabinet. And you could see where the coat is breaking off and some of the seed, the root is looking for some nutrients. All right, and then here's the one that was in my refrigerator. Yes, it had water, and it had air, and it had no really sunlight, but it was cold. Yeah, and it really hasn't grown all that much. So what I would like for you to do, I'm going to do this, I'll show you how. I would like for you to measure the one that had the most changes. And I'm going to have to say it is bag number 2 for me. Now you might have something different, but bag number 2. So now I happen to have a ruler. And so I'm going to take my ruler and measure how much this has grown. My goodness. So I'm going to the end of the root, the very end, and that is where I start with my ruler at the very end. Here we go. And I'm going to measure that. And this looks like it's about 1.5 inches. Not all the way to 2, but halfway between the 2. So in my book, I'm going to write down that the root and stem, known as the embryo, is 1.5 inches long. Amazing. And I want to take a look at this a little closer, show you. Wow. Look at the roots. You can see they're coming out all over. There's multiple roots. Here's the main one that we had. And now we have all these others that are coming out looking for more nutrients. And it's starting to split. The coat's coming off on its own. Look at that. And wait a minute. I'm looking at this and I see a difference in the color. How about yours? My bag number 2, the color has changed. Remember, this is bag number 1, the lima bean. And it was white. And we wrote that down on our very first day of observation. And now the white coat is coming off and it's turning a very nice bright green. Okay. So now, students, I would like for you to do the very same. Open up your bags, take a look inside, see which one measures the best and the longest. I want you to take a look at that and then record, of course, because you are scientists, record in your observation booklet how long that embryo is from root to, well, inside we can't get to where the leaf is, but as far back as you can go. Measure what yours is, and then we'll be making some changes to this. But make sure that your towels are wet. If they start to get a little smelly, you might want to change the towel and put it back in the bag in the same places as before. And then there is a video for you to learn what do our lima beans need in order to grow. And you can see here, we can put a chart together. This is the air, water, sunlight, darkness, room temperature, and cold. And those for our different bags. And we want to take a look and see. This is our bag number 1. It had air, it had no water, and there was sunlight, no darkness, and it was at room temperature. Remember, we put that in the window, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. Bag number 2 had air, it had water, sunlight, and it had room temperature. And that's the one that's growing like crazy. Then take a look at bag number 3, and this one here, it says it had air, it had water, no sunlight, it is darkness, and it's at room temperature. And that's mine here, number 3. Now that's funny. Mine doesn't look like it changed all that much, just a little bit. It's starting to grow. But some of you have emailed me and said that yours in bag number 3 was growing like crazy in darkness. Why darkness? I have a lot of questions. Here we go. And now we are on, back to our chart, bag 4. It had air, it had water, no sunlight, total darkness. No, this is the one that had no room temperature, but was in the cold of the refrigerator. And here it is. Not much is happening on this one. Oh, it makes me wonder, what is the best conditions for our plants? What do they need to grow? Take a look at this. When we were learning about the natural resources, we learned something about air, water, and sunlight. Watch the video and see, what do our plants need?